Open your eyes. Granted, delegate.
Djibouti being a developing country has a large number of people in poverty, and as well a high number of people being disabled. And a viable solution is the delegation of Djibouti Electric Services, providing ergonomic equipment to these disabled people in order for them to be educated and to be part of the modern job market.
Thanks, noted, delegate. Thank you. Are there any other speeches on the floor? Delegate of Rwanda to open your eyes. Granted, delegate. Just a second, delegate. Delegates on that corner, there are 2 seats vacant here. It's advisable you sit here so we can recognize you better. Today, maybe. Can you hurry up? 2 delegates, can you just go sit there, please? Because we're having recognition issues, admittedly, so if you could actually do that, it might be much easier for us. And for you as well. Any delegates? Apologies, delegate. Continue.
We have discussed the rights of persons with disabilities in the education system. As you can see, a human has a right. Be it disabled or non-disabled, they all have rights. So, the delegate of Rwanda strongly agrees to the disabled people to have rights in the education system.
Points noted, delegate. Thank you. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of France to operate your eyes. Granted, delegate.
So, dear delegates, I would like to speak of a person who is fully intellectually capable, but has motor issues with moving forward towards motor disability. So now he is completely capable, he is fully qualified, he has the proper skills, but he can't go for a job which does not have a proper infrastructure. So I see this as a fundamental violation of his freedom of choice to get this job. And to combat this situation, I believe that we must improve infrastructure in all sectors so that people with disabilities, regardless of their disability, can mainly go for the job of their choice if they are beautiful right. Also, through their integration into normal jobs within normal society, we think that this will help with social development and indeed eradicate social stigma related to people with
Points noted, delegate. Thank you. Are there any final speeches on this topic? Delegate of USA to operate your eyes. Granted, delegate.
Well, first of all, delegation of USA believes that persons with disabilities have the right to social inclusion. Therefore, we believe any and all facilities regarding persons with disabilities should be included in the current public school system as it stands already to avoid any social inclusion or marginalization of these people. They also have the right to socialize, they also have the right to be part of society, and their disabilities should be dismissed as nothing more than a simple formation that should not hinder them in any way whatsoever.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate Ecuador to operate your eyes. Are the rest of these statements as well, or are there any right to replies or anything? No. Delegate Bahrain. Secret point. No, delegate. We will have 3 more speeches on this topic. Are there any speeches on the floor? Delegate Zimbabwe to operate your eyes. Granted, delegate.
This delegation of Zimbabwe believes that every person has rights to go to the job market and has the right to be educated, regardless of their social class, religion, caste, or any other thing, including disability. So we believe that even disabled people have the right to go to the job market, and it's the duty of the job markets to adapt to the disabled people.
this delegate proposes that in the job market that they give, due to globalization, there are more jobs in the digital sector, the technological sector. The disabled people don't need legs to make these things. So like web designing, they just need a computer or a laptop. This delegate believes that these jobs should be given to people with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. Just to note, disabilities refers not just to physical handicaps, but also to mental handicaps as well. So please refer to that in your speeches. Thank you. Thank you, delegates. Please take your seat. Are there any other speeches on the floor? Delegate Cuba to offer your rights. Granted, delegate.
The delegate of Cuba proposes that even disabled people should get the opportunity to be well educated like everyone else. And this delegate proposes the mobile teacher system, in which the teachers visit the disabled students' homes and they can't visit the teachers, and they go educate the teacher. They go educate the students, and also, the delegate proposes technical aids and visual and hearing therapists to help support the disabled people to be able to.
Points noted, delegate. Thank you, delegate. Are there any delegate Bahrain to offer your rights? State your point. Granted, delegate. 20 seconds.
Within this house, it has been less addressed. The issue of physical disabilities has only been addressed, and the issue of mental disabilities. For example, children like consistently autism or something, like they're talented in art sector. So the delegation of Bahrain believes that they should be rather sent to the art sector, and the delegates country has started developing certain initiative and program to like look after the mental disabilities. So the delegates country believes that other countries should start taking the initiative.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Bahrain. Denied, delegate. Apologies. Delegate of Argentina. Delegate of Iraq. Solutions. Here. Okay, all of you have solutions. Recognize the presence of the vice president of the jury. Sorry, I apologize. GA6. Okay. Under the head table's discretion, discussion on this moderate on this topic will be extended for 3 more speeches, which after will not be entertained anymore. Delegates standing may make their speeches, but sit down first. Who are the delegates who are standing? Don't stand up, just back up. Delegate of Ecuador, you may obtain the floor.
With regards to the discrimination of the delegates must change the mindset of the public delegates. And with this delegates, what the UNESCO can, what the countries can do is by raising awareness campaigns to general public. Yeah, by to make it aware that disabled people also deserve a chance to have the right to education along with.
Points noted, delegate. Thank you. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of Argentina to open to your eyes. Granted, delegate.
As many of you said, many of you delegates these disabled people are also humans, who have basic human rights. So first of all, we have to socialize them with other people without any difference. As people who don't have disabilities, all the people in the society should contribute in this thing. Also, specially trained teachers for this task to educate these disabled people. And delegate, most important one is delegate adding these disabled students to the core system of the country delegates, so they are not left out of the tertiary education system. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate Romania to Honduras.
Now, delegates must also regard the fact that a majority of the problems regard from the fact of mental disabilities. Now, delegates, a majority of the factors arise from the fact of ADHD. Now, how are we to combat this? They are met with the provision of educational psychologists as opposed to the provision of conventional drugs such as the provision of alcohol or Ritalin. Now, delegates moving on to the fact of the matter regarding physical disabilities. Now, delegates according to several constitutions such as SENDA and VDA, this restricts the amount of discrimination that can take place within several media such as the digital age. Right?
Delegates what we must also realize is that the majority of the problems now at the job market and not the education level, where companies can implement such policies such as a quota of a specific number of physically disabled people that have to be employed, and as for the mentally disabled people, companies can have a certain program where they employ these people for a temporary period of time where they're allowed to do different activities.
Thank you. Time period for this moderated caucus topic has now elapsed. We will now be moving into another moderated caucus topic.
This moderated caucus topic submitted by the delegate of Japan is discussing the implementation of convergent and divergent teaching methods with regards to teaching strategies and learning. I'll read it again. It reads discussing the convergent and divergent teaching methods with regards to teaching strategies and learning. Delegate of Japan, you have 15 seconds to explain this one.
Delegates regarding education goals and approach from the convergent teaching which is highly structured and teacher-centered and where the students are passive recipients of knowledge and learning achievements of standardized tests, while the divergent approach is flexible, student-centered and they are active participants of learning achievements and assessed by documentation, portfolios and special projects.
10 seconds to this topic.
Are you clear? Are there any objections? Seeing none, this topic passes. The delegate of Japan will be granted 45 seconds and 5 speakers will be entertained on this moderated caucus topic.
These are pretty not in that nature, but a convergent approach pushes all students to strive towards one goal and do not meet the requirements of individual differences. So, multi-convergent method can be more effective in giving the students the opportunities to use their aptitudes and inclinations for learning and attaining high achievements. And also, adaptations to individual differences under divergent learning may be expected to be productive, but some students may not function well. This is strong need for guidance. So, guided divergent approach, which is more structured and less flexible.
Delegate, will you be open to finding information from the head? When it comes to divergent teaching methods, what exactly, can you specify an example of a divergent teaching method? Or even a convergent teaching method?
Considering divergent methods, considering convergent teaching methods, they are assessed by things like standardized tests. But in case divergent learning techniques, they being such based in special projects and activities such as that.
Does the delegate then state that divergent teaching methods means divergent from the syllabus or divergent from the norm of teaching methods?
Table please elaborate on
that? No, it's nice. Are there any speeches on this topic? Delegate Syria to apologize. Granted, delegate. Members of the House, the delegate of Syria completely agrees with the delegate of Japan. But what the delegate of Syria proposes in the process of shifting the paradigm is to reassess the teacher's role from being a teacher to a mediator, in which they allow the children's thoughts to be guided rather than enforcing their own thoughts on the children, which is happening right now, and mainstreaming the ideas. So this stifles innovation and creative thinking. Therefore, the delegate of Syria believes that the divergent method should be given much more prominence when shifting the educational paradigm, so that innovation and creative thinking can be encouraged. Thank you. Delegates, just a note, would it be possible if you could give us examples and possible actual solutions in this topic, like for example, examples of what the personal, even if it's personal opinions, of what divergent methods could in fact include? That would be great. Yeah, are there any other speeches on the floor? Delegate of Bulgaria to offer, do you guys?
The distinct role of teachers and learners has becoming increasingly blurred. Education is no longer defined in terms of what a teacher will teach, but rather in terms of what a student will be able to demonstrate. In this way, the convergent and divergent teaching methods should be implemented. And students and teachers share the same responsibility for the quality of a student's learning process. And for motivation to both student and teacher is satisfaction derived from improving the quality of each student's learning. So the dedication of Bulgaria brings that we should move from an instructional paradigm to a learning paradigm in which teachers' role is such that, for an example of a coach, where he teaches and learns as well. So that the teacher and the student both have the same idea.
Thank you. Are there any more speeches on this topic? Delegate of Peru. Round to
This delegate thinks that a divergent thinking should be encouraged. I would encourage to think out of the box, which will help in innovational thinking. For example, thinking out of the box without the mainstream way of thinking. Because especially in nursery schools, kids are thinking out of the box. When you encourage this from small age, it's better.
There'll be one more speech that we extend on something that is wished up in the floor. Delegate of China.
Honorable delegates are looking towards convergent teaching methods, essentially cooperative learning, where it's effectively group collaborations which teaches students to understand culture and essentially apply it. Now, students going to another teaching method known as culturally relevant teaching (CRT), which bridges students' experience from their class and also to their work experience. So, as a result of this, their culture is validated through connections between their classroom learnings and their own learnings which you learn at school. But however, this is only successful if the teacher knows the exact cultural definitions. Because, for example, certain cultures may be accepting certain things as other cultures may not. One good example would be it may be rude to directly to eye and contact to.
Thank you. Please recognize the presence of the President of GA1. The time period for this non-focus topic has now elapsed. We will be moving on to another related focus topic submitted by the delegate of China, which reads, this topic reads effectiveness to implement the UNESCO's HIV and school health program to enhance the efforts on sex education. Delegate of China, could you please, okay, you have 20 seconds to explain your topic.
Delegates with regards to shifting education paradigm.
when it comes to education, it's not only about the minds on the straight, it should be the physicality with regards to health and so on. And then when it comes to sex education, we see sex education not be done on a proper scale. There will be certain programs where the implementation has gone wrong. And now the UNESCO itself has created a program called UNESCO's HIV and School Health Program, and it has been able to integrate it into certain systems. There are UNESCO offices in certain nations, right? As a result, through integrating that into the current education system, it has helped to enhance efforts rather on sex education areas. So this is what the nation of China requests nations discuss upon since sex education itself is a pivotal.
Thanks, noted, Delegate. Are there any seconds to this topic? Delegate of Bhutan, are there any objections? See none, this topic passes. Delegates of China, you may obtain the floor as well as set time period for this topic.
Under the headings discussion.
45 seconds, 5 speeches.
Very well. Honorable delegates, looking towards the Millennium Development Goals set by the UNESCO, essentially we need to achieve this by 2015, and the sixth goal to combat HIV, AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. Essentially, what this would do is it would increase the standard of living within the African Peninsula and other MENA countries. And according to UNESCO, there will be a 20% increase within the standard of living if this program were to be implemented. This will continue to proliferate.
And thus, delegates, since this has been an effective program, and the fact that most people are unaware of this, what the nation is trying to suggest is that we need to look into community centers which after UNESCO which are in different nations, and thus awareness and also methods of implementing this program to be taken forth, because sex education is a good essential part of UNESCO which we all address. Thank you. Are there any more delegates wishing to obtain the floor to speak on this topic? Delegate Avira. Granted.
Delegate Iraq wishes to state that within the national strategic plan for education and higher education within Iraq of until 2022, the nation of Iraq also has a proposition in which medical clinics are affiliated with ministries are also affiliated with schools, public schools, and that the nation of Iraq suggests this, seeing as though guest speakers can come to schools and give speeches on education in such instances, and therefore that can be spread throughout schools in order to help prevent the spread of HIV and other such diseases.
Thank you. Are there any more delegates wishing to obtain the floor? Delegate of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Roger.
Honorable table of delegates of the esteemed house. When it comes to sex education, we see that many nations have not implemented this, and this needs to be addressed and implemented in nations. When it comes to sex education, basically on informing students how the sexual way of they have to work in life. So this will also introduce many risk and security measures that need to be implemented, and also to protect many other children who are affected by things not knowing this stuff. And so it's probably part of
Delegate. Thank you. Thank you, Delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of the Central African Congress. Granted, Delegate.
First of all, the delegate would like to comment on the delegate topic. Delegate of Central African Republic believes that education is important to make sure that standard health is improved in citizens. It is also known for the fact that children born educated mothers are more healthier than children born uneducated. So, the delegate would like to propose a solution that provide.
Thanks, Delegate. Thank you.
Are there any more delegates wishing to obtain the floor? Delegate of South? No.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, fellow delegates. The Republic of South Sudan has about 77,000 women and 53,000 men aged 50 and above living with HIV. This is due to lack of education, and also this is due to lack of having HIV/AIDS curriculum in their education system. So right now, the UNESCO is implementing HIV/AIDS module into the CDE's curriculum, and this delegate of South Sudan recommends that all the countries do the same because it's very important that the nation does not have STDs or STIs because this affects the mortality rate and the life expectancy, and also it affects education. And we need more healthy people in the society, and that will be
Thank you. Are there any more delegates wishing to obtain the floor? Delegate of Pakistan.
Delegate of Pakistan completely agrees with the implementation of sex education. Solution to this could be introducing a separate subject for the students of higher and secondary education for the secondary and higher section students, so that they become aware of the diseases. And other solutions could be parents should be made aware so that they educate their children, because there are bigger impact on the children. If the students are educated about this, crime rates tend to decrease a lot. Crimes like rapes and all, they would decrease. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. There's one more speech on this topic. All delegates wishing to obtain the floor, please raise your hand. Delegate of the United States of America. To the delegate. Granted delegate.
Delegates in the House, Delegate of Pakistan just admitted to the House that they're fully accepting the adaptation of sex education in their curriculum. However, I'm sure we're all aware of the conservative and extremely religious nature of British governance in Pakistan and its constitution. So we'd like to reply to the Delegate of Pakistan.
Honorable Delegate of Pakistan, you have the inherent 15-second reply to the Delegate of US. Delegate of Pakistan, is the government of Pakistan willing to accept to implement sexual education within their national curriculum? Delegate, you may reply in sheet form. Delegate of VRC? Denied delegate. Denied. Delegates will be moving back into speakers list.
Delegate of Egypt, you may now clear the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Chair and my fellow delegates, we are here to discuss the educational paradigm shift. Paradigm shift applies to throwing out theories that because research has shown them to be flawed smallest particle possible. It's all we can see with the tools that were available. New technology and science proved that theory wrong. This created a paradigm shift in the world for everyone. These are the characteristics of the new educational paradigm, which began in the middle of the 20th century. Emphasis on how to learn and how to ask questions. Priority on self-image as a generator of performance. Human relationships, teachers and learners are of primary importance. The child is a thinking, self-propelling, well-adjusted individual.
With the help of the World Bank and other multilateral organizations, Egypt aims to increase access in early childhood to care and education, and the institution of ICT and at all levels, especially state and territory level. The government is also responsible for offering free education at all levels. Investment in education has, as a percentage of GDP, rose to 4.8 in 2005 but fell to 3.5 in 2007.
Delegate, please end your speech. Is this delegation open to any points of information?
Any and all.
This delegation is open to any and all points of information. Are there any points of information for this delegation? Delegate of Israel, 12 points to rise. Granted, delegate.
Thank you, delegate.
Delegate is down, 12 points to rise.
So is it translation? The benefit of the House, for the delegate Israel would like to question the delegate of Egypt is what the nation of Egypt has, what steps the nation of Egypt has taken to facilitate the education of disabled citizens or those who are under disabled conditions. Thank you, delegate. The Ministry of Education is providing a comprehensive and integrated care for handicapped children through the following. Deaf and dumb children participate with normal children in performing different activities such as sports and other extracurricular activities, and also increasing the number of schools and classes which offer an educational service for the children with special needs without any discrimination based on gender or race.
Thank you, delegate. This delegation is open to one more point of information. Are there any points of information for this delegation?
Delegate Serbia. Roger.
What are the steps taken by this country to reduce the digital divide in this?
Delegates, would you like that to be rephrased? Delegate Serbia, please rephrase the question.
What are the steps taken by delegates government to reduce the digital divide in your country?
Thank you, delegate. What this delegate understands from the delegate's question is that there is no, to the according to the delegate's information that delegate has with her.
Delegate, please keep your answers concise.
Yes, sir. The nation.
Would you like to reply to form?
Yes, please.
You say 12 points to rise. Take your point. Will the delegation of USA reply on their behalf?
The delegate of the United States not familiar with policies of Egypt, but
Granted, delegate.
So basically, delegates, digital divide is how some people in some places do have an opportunity to access education and therefore to access technology rather, and therefore as a result education, and how some in fact don't. So globally, how in fact do we bridge the digital divide? First of all, we can set up community centers with technology such as computers, just basic things for people to access. Community centers which have knowledge about the community base, which then they can channel in teaching people about education and technology.
Thank you. Delegate of Zimbabwe. Any point on you? Ten seconds, Delegate.
This can also be done and by installing internet cafes in rural areas to reduce digital divide.
Thank you. Delegates, I am open to any more points of information. These delegates are open to more points of information. Are there any more points of information for these delegates? Delegate of Germany. Granted delegate.
Honorable delegates, it is a known fact that there are many social and economic inequalities within populations that hinder the access to education. And honorable delegates, this can affect the enrollment rates and so on, and cause an income achievement gap. How does the delegates that we overcome this income achievement gap, which is a pertinent problem when it comes to providing education?
Thank you, Delegate, for that question. Right now, the Ministry of Education in Egypt is trying to implement these one classroom schools, which is like a multi-grade school for girls, not based on like what age they are, but they still learn in this multi-grade school where at different ages, and it's like all in one building.
Thank you. Delegate of Germany.
Request for answer.
Granted delegate.
Honorable delegate, however, does not the delegate believe that we should actually go into the rules of education when it comes, especially when it comes to early childcare and education? Does not delegates believe that further funding and further targeted teaching should be provided to people with social and economic inequalities, understanding that they are from a disadvantaged background and face a cycle of disadvantage, especially when it comes to education provision throughout their lives?
Could the delegate repeat the question?
Delegate, please rephrase that question in a very concise manner.
I undertake single question does not believe that further funding and further financial support should be given to these socially and economically affected individuals rather than the solution that was previously mentioned. And with
Delegate, please keep the questions concise.
Yes, Delegate, this delegation does believe so because in Egypt is ranked 7th in the 10 lowest HDI countries, so this we need them.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of China. On what grounds, Delegate?
Egypt using multilingualism essentially to enhance the job market and of course answer the delegate of Germany's question.
10 seconds, Delegate.
Honorable delegates, in Cairo, French lawyers go, Egyptian lawyers go to French courts. Essentially what this happens is it causes these Egyptian lawyers to engage in mixed courts, and essentially as a result of that learn the French language and culture as well, and therefore it gives them a better chance at engaging other people and
Thank you. These delegates have exhausted the points of information, and now we're moving on to speakers list. The Russian Federation now has speakers list. Delegate of Russia. Delegate of Ecuador, you now have the floor. Granted delegate. Okay, apologies.
Delegate of Singapore, you may have to.
With prior permission of the head table and my fellow delegates. In relation to the current topic, Delegation of Singapore feels the need to mention the current global issue of unemployment. The common consensus is that there is direct correlation between flawed education systems and a nation's unemployment rate, which in turn negatively affects a country's standard of life, leading to an increase in poverty, social instability, and restrictions on immigration.
As for Singapore itself, with an unemployment rate of only 1.8%, it's clearly seen how effective the Singaporean education system is. The education system is divided into three parts, namely primary, secondary, and tertiary education. Education in Singapore is free for the first 6 years. And in the 6th grade, students are given an exam with three main subjects, namely maths, science, and mother tongue. And the students continue education in one of these streams based on their proficiency.
And after the ninth grade,
Just please complete closing remarks.
students transition into the ADE system which focuses on their ability and harnessing this ability.
David, please in your speech right now. Thank you, David. Delegates are open to any points of information.
2.
These delegates open to 2 points of information. Are there any points of information for these delegates? Delegate of Guyana. Granted.
Singapore. Does not delegate believe that young entrepreneurs are the future of this world, and what has the Singapore government done to further encourage young entrepreneurs?
And delegate, please rephrase the question.
David, could you please rephrase the question?
Delegates Singapore. Young entrepreneurs, these are young, like high school students or university students who want to start their own business. So what has the Singapore government done to encourage these young entrepreneurs starting up?
Singapore mostly focuses on providing a full education system at first, such as the ability-driven education system, which focuses on harnessing their abilities such so they can go in the line of in whatever their profession. That will in turn help them get a good job or what.
Thank you, Delegate. These delegates open to one last point of information. Delegate, please. These delegates open one last point of information. Are there any points of information for these delegates? Delegate of New Zealand. Roger, Delegate.
What is the country's stance on the competitive nature of the education system that puts great pressure on students?
Good question. It is true that Singapore actually has a very competitive system, and they are working slightly out of that because it does put a lot of pressure on students. And people from outside, Britain, America actually come to this country and introduce their systems of lowering the grading system based on grades.
Thank you, Delegate. Thank you. These delegates have exhausted their points of information. Delegate of South Sudan, you are on your rise. State your point, Delegate.
The business was open right now, it's not. Delegate of Djibouti by default, you now have the floor.
At this point, 2,600 miles away, 5 students are sharing one textbook. Honorable Head Table and fellow delegates, this is the educational system we have in Djibouti. 3 problems we feel are imperative to solve at this meeting will be now expressed. Firstly, the inability to obtain a birth certificate due to the immense red tape and the financial pressures. If one does not have a birth certificate, how can they apply and enroll their student into the educational system? We think that all red tape, all legislation should be destroyed, as well in obtaining this birth certificate, as well as it should not, one obtaining a birth certificate should not be the measure of one's economic status. Secondly, Djibouti has one of the lowest gender party index in the whole African Union. This is because 1/3, I repeat, 33% of the women in Djibouti get married before the age of 20. We have come here to find some solutions. Thirdly, last but not least, 1/6 of our population are nomadic people. The distance from school to where they live are miles away. We need to build up the infrastructure and find a suitable solution. Thank you.
That is the end of speech.
Kind of parliament, sorry, was this delegation be allowed?
20 seconds.
The delegation of Djibouti would like to propose a resolution. What the delegation believes is that if we are able to, this is in terms of educating the women in the nation of Djibouti. If we are able to empower the mother of families in the nation of Djibouti, the mother will then understand the education necessity of birth education, and and then it will be her responsibility to send her children to, will be her responsibility to send her children.
Sorry, delegate. Thank you. Is this delegation open to any points of information? This delegation is open to any all points of information. Are there any points of information for this delegation? Delegate, point yours. Granted, delegate. Poverty is one of the main obstacles that stand in the way of a shifting educational system. What steps has the country taken to this?
The delegation of Djibouti believes that tertiary sector education is vital in achieving economic growth that will solve poverty. As once a person has finished the tertiary sector education, they can enroll in the job market, pay taxes, and this system continues. Thank you.
Delegate of Germany to open your eyes. Advance, could you please give a mic? Admin. Yes, delegate. Based on?
Based on the fact that the delegate mentioned that free tertiary education will ensure jobs.
15 seconds.
Delegates in developing nations all free education, there are individual state and degrees. However, the job market evolved to create these individuals. It is important to do this. Right to reply.
Delegate of Djibouti, you were not recognized and Delegate of Djibouti to work on your rights.
I would like to make a statement on what the delegate just mentioned.
10 seconds to clarify.
But the delegate of Germany must understand it is a simple economic process. It's demand versus supply. When someone enrolls in tertiary sector education, demand is restricted, supply is restricted, and demand remains there. So obviously, when there are jobs, so demand and supply, they're definitely going to get a job in the market. And
Delegate, please contribute to those remarks. Delegate Rajajita. On one last again. Right.
Okay. Delegate of Germany just stated that delegates currently suffering from unemployment from years now. But delegate giving free tertiary education has effect on unemployment.
Delegate of China to open your eyes.
Delegate of Germany. You have an inherent reply that will be for 10 seconds, after which this debate will be terminated.
Honorable delegates, Samudaya, you should understand is that what the delegation of Germany brought up here. Because you provide the education, it doesn't mean you have a guaranteed job. Because the quality of education, because tertiary education in the nation of Germany itself is very good. We never stated that tertiary education is good. This last the points are unfair. Thank you.
Denied delegates, or please deny.
This delegation is open to one last point of information. Are there any points of information for this delegation? Delegate of China to Granted delegate.
Honorable Delegate of Djibouti, if I may quote it, we destroy legislation. But Honorable Delegate, we understand that if legislation only is that a proper government system can be implemented, yes, that can be red tape, but yet it could be limited, right? Because we know that legislation is essential when it comes to putting proper policies down into paper.
Thank you, Delegate of China.
when I led the mistake, I corrected myself and reduced red tape. And the legislation they wanted to reduce was the financial legislation, as the people of the money to pay for the birth certificate. So how can they enroll their children in the education system?
Thank you. Delegate of the United States of America. 50 seconds.
Now on to delegates regarding red tape. Indeed, the reduction of red tape is quintessential to setting up and increasing supply of schools. Simply because when people want to set up schools, if there is a tremendous amount of red tape, they are hugely discouraged from setting up schools, therefore depriving their children of an education. Reducing red tape is definitely of quintessential importance and should be in fact discussed in the House.
Alright, so the delegate, this delegation is exhausted and now moving into moderated caucus. We have a moderated caucus topic proposed by the delegates of China. This topic reads, evaluating the success of magnet schools in nations. And delegates of China, you have 20 seconds to justify your topic.
Honorable delegates, with regards to magnet schools, now what are magnet schools? Magnet schools are schools which are basically provided towards the talented of the batch, so that it provides a means of education. It has been broadly implemented in nations such as the United States. We should understand that by getting the talented batch to one side and segregating the rest, certain disparities with regards to education. So that's what the nation of China believes is that with regards to actually.
Thank you. Are there any seconds to this topic? Delegate Sudan to opportunity rights. Are there any objections? Seeing none, this topic passes. State your point. Delegate of China, please specify.
Ma'am, point of parliamentary inquiry, sorry, could you please?
Delegate of USA, could you please repeat that again?
In the topic stated above, when the delegation of China says magnet schools, are they referring to also the key schools they have in their own nation?
With regards to key schools, yes, it is, but as a whole, it's basically a gender perspective.
Thank you, Delegate. Since we saw no objections, we will dare to move into the discussion of this topic. Delegates of China, you will be granted 45 seconds to make your statement.
Honorable delegates, now looking towards the UNESCO Constitution, Article 7, which talks about national cooperating bodies. Essentially, what this would mean would be that national cooperating bodies which exist within our advisory panel, and these would essentially ensure that these or the ensure of education. Number 8, or this would ensure that there are proper reports given by the member states towards the UNESCO and essentially a proper regulation.
Basically, delegates, it was regarding the particular issues pertaining to these magnet schools, and thus what the nation of China urges is that delegates come up with necessary solutions to problems with regards to magnet schools.
Thank you. Delegates of USA to opportunity rights. Based on? Granted, delegate.
Now, honorable delegates of this House, we have the delegates of China coming up here and preaching to you about we should reduce the inequity in spreading education all around the country. However, delegates, we have the nation of China itself promoting these very ideas when they, in fact, in the PISA test, tested only the most privileged, the most elite students in Shanghai and gave those for PISA test scores, therefore promoting that themselves and the best of the best educated students there. Second, discourage the moving of rural people to urban places where, in fact, it is proven to have more education through their book course system. which in fact prevents them from registering
Delegate, thank you, Delegate. Delegate of China. You have the parent statement.
Delegate of China, hold on, delegate of Romania. Is that also a reply to the delegate of China? Delegate of China, you will be given your statement, after which the delegate of Romania.
Firstly, Honorable Delegate, USA regarding the hookah system, it is as of now, the current Ministry of Education in the nation of China is already conducting proper discussions with the Organization Committee of the Communist Party with regards to the viability of the hookah system, because we understand there are certain problems regarding it, and it was highly mentioned with regards to the government test. And what it is with regards to the key schools in the nation of China, you understand that first they are discouraging fact, just that there are certain issues when it comes to protocol delegates, and as a result, there is a report that shows a certain disparity that has been arising as a general, and it is that's why we already focus on, not just the fact that we are doing it.
The Romania has 15 seconds.
Now, delegates were regarding the PISA test and as well as Shanghai also have on its legislation as well as its registration policies that a majority of the Chinese workers is American students, and according to its registration policies, they have taken that test outside of Shanghai. So delegate does not see
Are there any speeches on this one? Delegate of Bahrain to open your eyes. Granted, delegate.
Honorable delegates of the House, what the delegation of Bahrain believes is that a country's educational system can be considered proper when no more magnet schools exist. Because this shows that the education is supplied equally throughout the entire country, and therefore there is an equilibrium of education supplied to all students.
The delegation of Bahrain believes that through magnet schools, the quality of education in other schools reduces rather than decreasing. So the country's education, the literacy rate rather decreases, so that magnet schools should rather be eliminated rather than existing.
Points noted, delegate. Thank you. Are there any other speeches on the floor? Delegate of Nicaragua to open your eyes.
Function to obtain the floor.
Granted, delegate.
In estimating the educational effects of magnet schools, it's found that for the average student, magnet schools appear to produce higher achievement in reading and social studies. Finally, a national study of magnet schools showed that 80% of the magnet schools had average reading and math achievement scores that were above the district's.
Thank you, delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of Algeria to appoint your eyes. Granted, delegate.
Delegates, what we need to consider when considering alternatives to magnet schools is that we need to take a good hard look at our education system as is and reform the way we provide the education. The reason magnet schools exist is because there are students who perform at a higher level than their peers. And so what we need to move towards perhaps is the education system that is geared towards the individual's child and geared towards acknowledging that children learn at different paces, but they can still learn within the same classroom.
Points noted, delegate. Are there any final speeches on this moderate caucus topic? Delegate of Nigeria to appoint your eyes. Granted, delegate.
Delegates of the House, yes, magnet schools focus and build up on talented students. However, the delegation of Nigeria has an alternative solution by having students of various skills, of various intelligent levels in one classroom. These students are able to cooperate and learn from one another, which is one of the skills that are needed in today's job market, the delegate believes.
Points noted, delegate. Thank you. Delegate Argentina to appoint your eyes. Granted, delegate. 20 seconds.
Delegates, a rather very simple solution, delegates.
what we can do is we can make the students in magnet schools to come to other schools and work coordinately with other school children. So what we do is this would make interpersonal relationships between magnet school children and other school children, making demotivation a very redundant point with this solution. Thank you.
Delegate of the Russian Federation, to what point do you rise? Based on? Ten seconds.
Dear delegates, what we must understand is that all students are not the same delegates, and whereas some students might be talented in one area, the others might not. So considering the talented students and delegates, these talented students will be given special attention, and in magnet schools they will be able to enhance their qualities, while in normal schools, without these talented students, normal students will also stand an equal chance, whereas in a school where there are a lot of talented people, the people that are considered generally normal would actually be paid little attention compared to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate of Central African Republic, to what point do you rise? State your point. State the question.
If the delegate is for the
Granted, delegate. Delegate of Russia, you may answer the question.
The delegate, considering the minority delegates, the nation of Russia maintains a neutral stance in this matter, but the nation of Russia would like to state that the nation of Russia would always consider the fact of developing talent a good thing. Thank you.
Delegate of Germany, to what point do you rise? State your point. All points denied. We will, the time period for this moderator caucus topic has elapsed. We will now be moving on to another moderator caucus topic proposed by the delegate of Iraq. This topic reads, understanding the importance of including information on outdated cultural practices in the cultural educational system of nations. Delegate of Iraq, you have 20 seconds to explain the topic.
Delegates, now we see that just as the education system is enhancing, so are the people's views on different cultural practices that used to exist and used to be a norm many years ago. Delegates, we see that there are issues with such cultural practices, and they must be addressed, and children must be aware of yes of what the culture used to be in the nation, but also issues of that culture. And that is why this model topic is.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any seconds to this topic? Delegate of Angola, to what point do you rise? Delegate denied. Are there any seconds? Delegate of Haiti, to what point do you rise? Are there any objections? Seeing none, this topic passes.
All the delegates who wish to pray, who wanted to leave the committee, please go to the back and sign on. The admins will be there. You have to write down your name and then leave. And when you come back in, you'll have to sign it again. Right? Thank you.
Delegate of Iraq, you may obtain the floor. You may set your time period.
The time period under the head of this section.
5 speeches, 45 seconds each.
Now, delegates in the House, when we look across the world, 100 years ago, 50 years ago, there used to be cultural practices that persisted within nations, and that worked at that time very different. But as the nation and the world evolved, we realized that some of these cultural practices, most of them, actually cause more harm than good. For example, if Iraq takes examples such as the cultural practice of discrimination of women in certain issues, even within the nation of Iraq, which nation they get Iraq admits. And also, there is the House within the African nations, the genital mutilation issues as well. So that nation believes that such issues must be served
Point
and
noted, delegate.
education can be.
Thank you, delegate. Thank you. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of Romania to apologize. Granted, delegate.
Delegates in the House.
Delegate of Bahrain to apologize. State your point. Firstly, delegate, just to interrupt another speaker. Unless if it's a personal privilege question on audibility. They ask for information after this delegates are done. Thank you. Delegates, you have a question.
Now, delegates, when considering this topic, it is up to the this question of the entire House to actually define what outdated is in each nation's case, and delegates, when these outdated practices are actually taught to the students through the school curriculum, would it not actually inculcate these values students of the modern day? And delegates, the other thing is this basically teaches students about the cultural flaws within a nation's own culture. So would the delegate finds it questionable as to how far nations are going to go through with this as to questioning their own culture and criticizing it?
Your Honor, another specific question would be the stance of secular states on such issues.
Points noted, delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of USA to appoint you guys. Granted, delegate.
Now, delegate, what we must understand is the keyword here being outdated. There's a reason that something is outdated, meaning that it is no longer relevant. But an alternative solution that the United States can pose is how including it through the forms of history, etc. Whereas things going to specific such as cultural practices, documenting it, archiving it into books, otherwise outside the education system for own personal information and knowledge for any student to purchase or buy and read is up to their own free will and does not need to be included within the education system.
Delegate of Romania to appoint you guys. State your point. Denied, delegate. Grant receive your time. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate the UK will to appoint you guys. Granted, delegate.
Delegates, yes, we realize that sometimes cultural practices may be outdated and there may be a reason for that. But delegates, the reason that we learn history is so that we can understand and learn the mistakes that have been made in the past and move forward from there. And for that reason, the government of the delegation of the United Kingdom would like to suggest that cultural education be made a compulsory subject within the curriculum in order for pupils to learn about unique cultural history of their own country.
Points noted, delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate Tajikistan to appoint you guys. Granted, delegate.
This delegate recognizes the importance of preservance of cultural values, and it's important to be and outdated cultural values are important to be revived. And technological advancement is not only what modern students need, but also a sense of what they actually are and their ancestors and their roots. However, it's important that racist and human cultural practices are not brought up. And overall, this ensures security systems and could even contribute to reduction of brain drain.
Points noted, delegate. Thank you. Are there any final speeches on this moderated caucus topic? Delegate of Djibouti to appoint you guys. Granted, delegate.
With regards to female genital mutilation, in Djibouti has the highest percentage of women who are succumbed to genital mutilation. What? Sorry.
Thank you, Delegate. One final speech on this moderated caucus topic. Are there any speeches? Are there any other speeches on this moderated caucus topic? Delegate Somalia to operate your eyes.
Permission of any.
Granted, Delegate.
The delegate of Somalia believes that this is a real problem, and that is why we have come up with these plausible solutions. Teach the students of their history, of these cultures, distribution of time to teach the outdated information, realize the outdated information to explicitly state what is relevant to contemporary social culture practices and what is no longer accepted in current practices. Thank you.
Delegate China to operate your eyes. State your point.
Ma'am, seeing that we didn't discuss the issues of gun cultures, rather when it comes to cultural issues, could you explain one more speeches, one speech?
Granted, Delegate. We will have two more speeches on this moderated caucus topic. Delegates of China, you have changed the floor.
Okay, delegates, let's stay away from when it comes to the cultural party theme, but there's something called gun culture, which is in nations such as USA, UK, and Pakistan. But delegates, with the presence of gun culture, it affects the functioning of the education system, delegates, and just highlight the huge amounts of violence we see when it comes to students using guns and whatnot. So thus, the nation of China believes that proper awareness programs such as countering violence extremism needs to be undertaken. And also, people need to be awareness regarding the right to bear arms as well, because we understand they're talking about the youth of our country and we don't want them to be deteriorated.
Point served, Delegate. Thank you. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate Ecuador to operate your eyes. Granted, Delegate.
Dear delegates, with regard to the public at hand, what we must realize is that with culture in a certain country, it is under the discretion of the nation to implement culture in their textbooks. But this common thing that is happening right now, and a common solution that could be integrated is that we use the internet as an exposure to children to have information such as this outdated cultures in order to educate them.
Thank you. This moderated caucus topic is now elapsed. We will be moving into the discussion of another moderated caucus topic proposed by the delegate of Romania. This topic is discussing the influence of decentralization of the government over education framework in light of the proliferation of subjective information. Now, there are a couple of grammatical errors as well as the head table will attempt to fix it. But however, this is about spreading government propaganda in school systems. Delegate of Romania, please explain your topic. You have 20 seconds.
Now, delegates, essentially, when the education system has been centrally authorized, the government tends to spread the ideology through education, and this is exactly what we do not want happening. Therefore, we must discuss considering the decentralization of the education system, where biased ideas won't be spread to students.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any seconds to this topic? Delegate, Myanmar to operate your eyes. Are there any objections? Seeing none, this topic passes. Delegate of Romania, you may obtain the floor as well as set the time period to moderate topics.
Under the chair's discretion,
5 speeches for 5 seconds.
Part permission from the head table of fellow delegates. When we are to consider a fact such as the proliferation of subjective information or biased ideas or nonsense propaganda through the means of education, we not only engage the self-doubt of individuals, but actually provide a society who's completely brainwashed and is not actually willing to adopt or adapt to such different ideologies. But delegates, we must also understand that the education systems of nations must also be equitable and must also contain these objective information that does not appeal to a certain minority as it does to another.
Right, sorry, delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of the Dominican Republic to Honduras. Granted, delegate.
The Dominican Republic understands the importance of having less government influence over education due to spreading subjective information, and therefore it has actually implemented this in its legislation by modernizing the administrative system, encouraging the use of administrative meetings, and institutionalizing and standardizing the decision-making process. It also has strengthened ties to the community.
Points noted, delegate. Thank you, delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of China to Honduras. Granted, delegate.
Ladies and gentlemen, looking towards this topic, state level education can be essentially exactly. So now one way you are given correct information they are applying and exactly what they are applying to us. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Are there any other speeches? Delegate of Vietnam, could you plan to make a speech on this topic? Thank you, delegate.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a time to understand politics, and it's because we understand the nation of Vietnam understands that the subject information from others that when changing parties during elections, there might be
Points noted, delegate. Thank you. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of USA to Honduras. Granted, delegate.
Now, delegates, considering propaganda via education is a serious problem that many countries today are facing, what the delegation of the United States would like to advise to do is to leave politics out of the education system, underscore its needed in subjects such as political science, etc. And those textbooks also state or whoever in the particular country is in charge of the education to be monitored and checked whether there is any bias towards the information produced.
Thank you, delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of Bahrain to Honduras. Granted, delegate.
Honorable delegates, the problem that we see in trying to actually eradicate this problem is there is no proper line between patriotism and propaganda done by the government. Now, what we as a global community should do is make sure that the children who are at a volatile and impressionable age are only given the correct information about the country's honorable past and all, and not actually political decisions are not actually enforced upon by the service.
Points noted, delegate. Apologies. Are there any delegate of Ecuador to Honduras? The delegate of Romania? Denied, delegate. Apologies. We are in time for one last final speech on this moderated caucus topic. Are there any speeches on the floor? Delegate of Panama to Honduras. County delegate.
decentralization. This essentially means that decentralization of the government means that the power of the Ministry of Education is spread out so that the local communities and villages are able to express their opinion each other what they want from the education system. This means that their values and what they want are actually involved in the education system, so the government may be able to understand what the people actually want and address them properly. The government of Panama is not for completely decentralization of the government in order to manage the education system and to create a model.
Points noted, Delegate. Thank you. Delegate of Somalia to operate your eyes. Based on? Granted, Delegate 10 seconds.
The delegate of Somalia believes that there should be an implementation of a non-governmental administrative body regulating on what kind of information is to be taught to the students. Thank you.
Points noted, Delegate. Thank you. The time period for this moderated caucus topic has elapsed. We are now moving into another moderated caucus topic proposed by the delegate of Georgia. This topic reads, discussing the implications of the standardized tests and questioning the need to replace it.
Before that, delegates of Germany kindly, one delegate from the delegation of Germany kindly approach the table.
Delegate of Georgia, you have 20 seconds to clarify your topic. Delegates, please maintain decorum.
Delegates, what we need to understand is that the simple standardized test can be overused and can be misused. This can have several implications on students and their ratings and how it can affect their entire future for just this one test, which can be used many, many times and which
Georgia. Thank you, Delegate. Are there any seconds for this topic?
Delegate of Guinea to operate your eyes. Are there any objections? Delegate of Croatia. Based on? Okay, Delegate, no.
One speech for and one speech against, after which we will vote for the adoption of this topic. Delegate of Georgia, you will have 25 seconds to state why this topic should be adopted.
assessment reform is often challenged. What could one do instead of standardized testing? While stopping in its own right, high quality assessment is essential to student learning. That's why we need to come up with practical and feasible, effective solutions, effective alternatives to standardized testing. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate.
Delegate of Croatia, you will have 25 seconds to state why this topic should not be adopted. State it correctly.
I said this was discussed before.
Delegate, you have 25 seconds to make an into speech and convince the House of issues of the
So this was discussed before in the moderate caucus. Systems is the same thing. Standardizing and grading systems are the same thing. So this delegate believes this was discussed before and is basically
to move into voting.
And let's take the count.
All delegates voting in favor of discussing this topic, please raise your hands and keep it high. All delegates voting against, please show reciprocate. With a simple majority, this topic passes. Delegate of Georgia, you will have 45 seconds to make your statement.
Educational Act killed many everyday practices, as schools were forced to focus on boosting standardized exam scores. However, another example of better assessments exists in several nations. One alternative is conducted by the New York Performance Standard Consortium, an alliance of 28 public high schools. Schools in the consortium use performance-based assessments. The performance assessments are used for graduation and accountability, including the NCLB. A recent consortium report, Education for the 21st Century, shows that performance-based assessment works well for types of students that test-driven reforms. That the test-driven reforms are supposed to benefit, but so often fail. Nations could adopt these practices and create public school consortiums among their schools and adopt performance-based assessments in place of standardized exams. Thank you.
Sorry, Delegate, thank you. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of the Netherlands to operate your eyes. Granted, Delegate.
Delegates standardized testing, delegate methods the standardized testing doesn't agree with the current system of education because this standardized testing forces teachers to teach the curriculum just for the test. It doesn't encourage teachers to go into detail, teach students life skills, which they would really need in order to tackle further objectives in the real job market. And also, delegates, it's not fair for all students. There are many.
Point sorry, Delegate, thank you. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate, we need to operate your eyes. Granted, Delegate.
Honorable Secretary, standardized testing is not a true measure of intelligence. And delegates, what we need to understand is one size does not fit all. So we need to adapt performance criteria in schools and also make tests to cater to the needs of several students, rather than the type just because to memorize out of the textbook, delegates. Because standardized testing also narrows the curriculum and discourages divergent thinking and encourages convergent thinking.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegates, please try to come up with solutions. We understand that this is an issue, it's a big issue, but could you try to come up with some solutions? Delegate of Morocco to operate your eyes. Granted, Delegate.
Now, delegates, what we must understand, we've been using this standardized test system for decades and decades on this education system, delegates. What we must do is now that technology has caught up with everything. But when we take education, it hasn't. Especially in most of the third world countries where we still use blackboards and whiteboards to teach children. So what we must understand is we must take technology and provide a good education and thank you.
Going to the points that the model can delegate. Standardized testing causes a lot of pressure. It's basically due to stereotype of the society that people judge by just a mark on a paper. This is wrong. Because this causes so much pressure on students. And
thank you, Delegate. Thank you, Delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegates, please try to address the psychological implications that arise from this. We need to understand that there are there is an umbrella type discussion that come out of this topic. So please try to address all implications as well as come up with solutions. Delegate Costa Rica to operate your eyes. Granted, Delegate.
Prior Commission of the Ordinance, Technical and Civil Delegates of the House. The delegate of Costa Rica believes that the problem in standardized testing is the way it is used. For example, there could be 5 children who attend out of 10 in a class. However, if you could identify the specific skills of these children and use a standardized testing on those specific standard skills, I believe this will be much more effective. And and much more feasible solution. Thank you.
Thank you, David. David, equal or to offer you guys? Based on? This could be addressed in the speech. Delegates, please note that there is another part of this topic as well, which is questioning the need to replace it. Please remember that this should also be addressed in the topic. Are there any speeches on the floor? Delegate of Macedonia to operate you guys. Delegate.
Teachers are truly proud of the students who have made good in life. They are the old boys of the school, but those who have failed and dropped out of school become the old boys of the society. We look we accept the examination system as rewarding ability, merit, and hard work, but we fail to realize that we have also built failure into the examination system. Therefore, we need an examination system that provides education system that provides theoretical study rather than just learning out of textbooks. Also, a student should be judged on the basis of all the skills rather than just academics.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate Slovenia to operate you guys. Granted, Delegate.
This delegate believes that in many countries, there are many problems faced due to standardized testing. This delegate proposes that we try to use a different method of standardized testing to which one is comfortable with. It could either be in the form of by using technology, because some delegates find it very difficult to write in a pen very fast. So this delegate believes that the House should come to a solution at the end of the day.
Points noted, Delegate. Are there any final speeches on this topic? Delegate of Brazil to appoint you guys. Granted, Delegate.
Delegates of the House, obviously, and all of the delegates of the committee coming here and telling us the different problems with standardized tests. But I'm yet to see any of them come up with a solution, because there is no solution or replacement to the standardized test. The standardized test exists for a reason, and in most cases it is fair and it tests most of students' abilities, and there are different subjects to choose from within standardized tests.
Points noted, Delegate. Delegate of USA to appoint you guys. Based on? Granted, Delegate.
The delegate stated that there is in fact no replacement for standardized tests. However, honorable delegates, we do have alternatives such as portfolio assessment. Taking into account a child's work that they've done over an entire year, they at the end get a grade or a percentile or a raw mark at the end of it, and therefore that's how they assess their own abilities.
Delegate Bahrain to appoint you guys. State your point.
It's not whether or not there is alternative for standardized test opinion and not ensuring that. Like, does it have a factual basis considering that whether
Delegate, it is a fact. There are other alternatives to standardized testing. It is a fact.
Whether it is feasible or not.
Delegate, firstly, that was on a point of parliamentary inquiry, that is strictly the procedure. Delegate points denied. Are there any?
Delegate South Sudan to appoint you guys. State your point, Delegate. Delegates wishing to request for a statement, please raise your cards. Denied, delegates. Due to severe time constraints and the fact that we need to move into Alma.
Delegate USA to operate you guys. State your point. we'll have 3 more speeches and then the time period will be completely elapsed. Are there any speeches on this topic? Delegate of Ukraine to occupy rights. Granted, delegate.
Ladies and gentlemen, in standardized testing, critical thinking, problem solving are not addressed. However, for productive self-expression, standardized testing is needed. Therefore, we should integrate convergent and divergent thinking, thus replacing standardized testing application with convergent by integrating convergent and divergent thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any other speeches on this topic? Delegate of Germany to open your eyes. Round delegate.
Delegates of the House, what we need to realize is that standardized testing is sometimes the way to go. However, delegates, the criteria that is being used to mark needs to be changed. In most exams, for example, there is only one right answer. What needs to be done is there needs to be more right answers. The examiners need to adapt to think and evaluate if there are more right answers to one question. Another solution is delegates implementing critical thinking and crisis solving in a classroom. A group of students can be given a crisis to solve, and they can be evaluated on the solution.
Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you.
Delegate, there's something called anyone to know. Are there any other final speeches on this topic? Delegate of the Russian Federation to operate you guys. Granted, delegate.
The delegates what must understand is, even though the House has been talking against standards examinations, through the delegates in school, in general secondary and primary education, there is a mass of students of different capabilities. Standardized examinations may actually be unfair because everybody has different talents in delegates. But after school, when they go according to their choice of professions in delegates, most countries do not have standardized delegates. Even universities in the most developed countries have university delegates. So in such situations, the delegates standardized examinations are needed to set qualifications so that state people can go to universities, etc.
Thanks, Delegate. Thank you. We are in time for one last final speech on this moderated conference topic. Are there any speeches on the floor? Delegate of Hungary to open your